I remember a long time ago being fascinated to learn details about the story of Chernobyl, that particular power or nuclear plant that was over in Russia. And it seems like they were running some experiments, they were running some tests, or trying to create something, trying to experiment on something, and things just went left. They end up causing a nuclear reaction, and the place just went ablaze. If I'm not mistaken, some explosions may have taken place. I think one of the streaming platforms covered it and did more of a in-depth look and depiction of that event. I remember seeing some glimpse of that particular film, and it was, it was jarring to see that things that you can try to test and try to experiment on, and how devastating it can be if things aren't done correctly. I remember a scene where they had went inside to try to, I'm not sure what they were trying to do, what they were looking for, but they had sent some people, a team of people inside the building. The building had lost all electricity, all function. The possibility of something going off was still there. Radiation was at an extreme high there. Um, and then there was water that had leaked and flooded the entire place. Um, from the depiction that they showed on that film, these people went in there with gear, with flashlights and things like that, and just complete utter darkness. Um, what would have been a good idea, now that I'm thinking about it, would possibly have a team of people or some machinery that could pull them out. I'm guessing they did have that, but maybe something that they could tug on, or a signal that they could give that lets them know, like, hey, we're in trouble, we're kind of lost, we need to reset, and something that can pull them out of there. Um, but they had went into this place and lost communications. I think their batteries had shut down. Flashlight that they had just flickered and just went out, and all you can hear was their breathing. And I think they had like a radar or sort of radiation sensor that was going off, and it was like at its highest point. And that was pretty jarring seeing that, man. Just seeing that depiction being made, realizing how devastating, like I said, your choices and how things can go left if everything isn't checked, if everything isn't done properly. From what I remember, they were saying that this radiation had leaked and gotten so bad that it went through flooring, it had got into the soil, the foundation, and it has slowly leaked into soil, into the ground below. For years and years, this place was deemed unfit to come visit, unfit to travel on, unfit to come and explore. And it was crazy. I think in recent years it's finally been able to, you able to go in there and visit, kind of look around. I think it's sort of like a little landmark, and people are able to go in and just see the place. But I think there's still certain areas that are locked off that they deem as a no-go zone. Fast forward till now. There's a guy that does YouTube videos. His channel name is Jason A. Covers a lot of world event related content. Anything from spiritual to political to natural disasters, you name it. One of the things that I see the most frequent on his channel is in regards to life above water and life below water. I'm constantly seeing events in relation to like fish, whales, sharks, all sort of sea life showing up dead in drones. You know, just thousands and thousands and thousands of sea life showing up dead. Um, and that caught my attention because everybody's puzzled as to why, as to what's going on, what's happening in this water where these fish are unable to live. They were noticing that sometimes the temperature in the water is higher than what it's supposed to be. They was noticing it would happen in like certain areas, especially areas that like nothing like that had ever happened before. I remember recent news that there was a fire that had happened underwater. I think it was some sort of a fuel leak or oil leak or something like that, and it had actually got ignited. And it was just like this huge ring of fire in the middle of the ocean. And they had all sort of teams of people out there trying to combat this particular fire. Something like that, even if you get the fire to actually stop, something like that is going to have a lasting effect on creatures that actually live and reside in these bodies of water. He had videos showcasing birds that were just dropping out of the sky. Thousands and thousands of birds that were just dropping dead out of the sky. You go to certain cities and they're just lying around. It's me bringing up Chernobyl is me looking at something that is tangible to say maybe the lasting effects of this has caught up to a lot of sea life in certain areas, but that's a reach. Maybe the lasting effects of pollution and our gas emissions, pollutions, and the different toxins that we're putting into the air. Maybe it's just reaching its brim, but that's a reach. A couple weeks ago, we talked about Agenda 2030. Now we've been talking about this. We're going to go through each and every one of the sustainable development goals. The goal that we're going to talk about today is life below water. Number 14. This is one of their sustainable development goals, looking at a way where they could develop this particular goal sustainably. Sea life is dropping at a substantial rate and is getting to the point where through our recent events of 2020, and we know what those events are, prices have gone up, markets have changed, stocks have changed, and you go into the grocery store now and things are just different out here. I looked at a pack of ground beef just to see what everybody was talking about, and it was like $10 or $11 for like 2 pounds. And you really don't realize how far those prices have gone up unless you like go and actually shop for that stuff. And a lot of people don't pay attention to what's happening around them until it affects them directly. We hear about birds and sea life dying off. We hear about animals becoming more and more extinct. We hear about Amazon deforestation happening. We hear about wildfires happening over on the West Coast, and it's been happening for decades. So no one really truly like puts that much attention to it who's not from those areas. We hear about the earthquakes happening all over the place and the flooding and cities being destroyed. But no one really cares about this stuff until it directly affects them. I feel like this is one of those things where it happens and no one is really going to care that much. It's going to be a change when it comes to that particular market, if that change hasn't already happened. Like I said, we already had a significant change in our economy just from the recent events in 2020. If we keep this rate of wildlife, sea life, life above water dropping at this substantial rate, you're going to see world government take significant action to replace, to implement a new plan. And it makes me wonder, what? What are you going to do for the endangered life below water? What could we possibly do? Is there a purification process for these open bodies of water that we've done so much damage to? Constantly dumping and constantly, in these oceans trying to catch fish for profit and things like that. And a lot of them turn up dead upon arrival. So sometimes they'll just toss them back. It's so much that we're doing out here, and we don't realize the extent of damage that we're causing. Me and my wife went vegan a few years ago. We're not perfect. We just do our best. But we do realize that eating the way that we ate, because I can't speak for nobody else and I refuse to, but eating the way that I ate a lot. I used to get a plate of chicken wings and cheese fries, hot sauce with some ranch and all type of stuff. And just the amount of animal product that I consumed, products that we need animals in order to make, was through the roof. But I didn't care. I paid that $10.99 for that plate of hot chicken wings. I wanted some buffalo sauce. I wanted some ranch. I wanted cheese smothered on that fry. I wanted some ranch on the cheese fries as well. Throw some bacon on the fries if I could. And I would eat all of that and then just roll over and just go to the deepest sleep. And I did that multiple times a day. And that was just me. Imagine hundreds and thousands of people who possibly eat the same or worse. Blood pressure through the roof. It's so much that we do that is damaging. It's so much. Just the way our logic toward the way we approach things is so off, yo. Saw a lady who was in a wheelchair, could on oxygen, could barely talk, barely breathe, smoking a cigarette. See guys that are overweight, just completely overweight. And it isn't due to any like underlying health issues or thyroid. It's just I like to eat and I like what I like and I ain't giving up nothing. Can barely walk, wear the same exact sweatpants every day. Shoes are just completely bent out of shape because we don't care about how we approach things. We don't care about how we perceive things. And we just do what we want, it no matter how damaging it is. So the same person go to the doctor and have to be put on a CPAP machine because they're struggling breathing at night. They're struggling to sleep. And now they're having heart issues for the lack of oxygen and blood circulation. Then high blood pressure. Then they got to take a ton of medicine, a ton of pills. Then on top of that, keep eating the way that they want to eat. Then to top it off, want to smoke. And it's just we love to damage things and not care about the damage until it's too late. And that same mentality carries over to wildlife, sea life, open waters, open seas, and just how we treat our environment. We got hard to control wildfires on the West Coast and then go to the Amazon and set fires to the forests over there as well. And from what I remember, I don't know what their plan was, but from what I remember hearing, it's to create more land so that we can try to produce more meat, more farming. Because we have this growing consumption in this country. And even with us talking about sea life and wildlife, we go back to just consumption, which is one of the goals. We saw responsible consumption and production. Even the world realizes the way that we're eating, how much we're eating, how we're consuming, and it ain't just food, everything that we're consuming. We're not going to be able to continue this supply at the rate that it is going. We're not going to be able to meet that demand. No pun intended with the meet that demand part. I thought that was pretty clever myself. The way that we consume is going to come a point in time where we're not going to be able to consume that way anymore. Companies aren't going to be able to supply that substantially. They're not going to be able to develop that substantially. So that's why you have this list of like 17 or 18 goals from different organizations, different groups, as well as the United Nations that are looking to get on board with this Agenda 2030 plan. Because the goals that they're setting, they're looking to and aiming to sustain them, or aiming to develop them sustainably. And it's covering just about every genre and topic and area, from justice to food to the work industry, workforce, innovation and infrastructure, to life on land, above sea, in the sea, to hunger and poverty, uh, inequalities in different areas. They're looking to develop new, innovative goals in a sustainable manner. Because they realize that the way that we're going right now, yeah, we're capitalizing so far as money. The industries who are a part of these and who make money off of these are thriving. They realize, like, we can't keep that up. This is only going to last so long. It takes so much water in order to contribute to a lot of the meat industry, dairy industry, a lot of the farming industries, outside of just natural crops. It takes a ton of water. We got areas where water and rivers and lakes are drying up. we're not going to have a readily usable or readily available supply of water at the rate that we're going for too much longer. So they realize all this, because a lot of us, we don't care. We go to work, we pay our bills, we watch our favorite TV shows, we eat the food that we like to eat, we sleep, go wake up, and we do the same thing over and over again. Throw some kids in there sometimes. We're making a family, so throw some kids in there too. And they're doing the same thing. They go to school, they wake up, they go to school, they come home, they do the homework, watch their favorite shows, they eat, they go to sleep, they do it all over again. They grow up, they go to college, they wake up, they go to their lectures and their classes, meet their professors. They go to work, they come home, they watch their favorite shows, they eat, they sleep, they wake up, do it all over again. And we're constantly doing this, the same cycle. But it's just how we're consuming in the midst of this. We're not looking or watching things on TV that's going to help us. We're looking at the entertainment. We're looking at the negative stuff. We're looking at, oh, this bottle I'm holding right here. This is Making Sense, Sweet Addiction by Making Sense. If you guys who listen to my podcast don't know, I love fragrances. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see the bottle. If you're listening, I need you to go and check out makingsense.com. MAKIN apostrophe SCENTS. makingsense.com. And he has a ton of fragrances, and they're all clones of well-known brands. And he makes substantially great fragrances. The quality is good, price point as well. Good stuff. And I didn't mean to get off topic there, but I usually talk and I'm picking up fragrances. I got fragrances all on my desk. So if you're watching this, you know, you saw that. That's why. There's nothing wrong with consuming. It's just sometimes what we're consuming. We'll get on YouTube, we'll get on the internet, and we'll look up and consume so much negativity. We look for negative news, we look for sound bites, we look for drama, and anything positive, we kind of just sort of brush over it. We may not necessarily say nothing bad about it, but we're not really investing in it as much as we would the negative stuff. You see a guy helping out some children, or somebody helping out the homeless, or a charity, and we'll applaud, we'll give it, you know, a little clap. But we see a celebrity cheated on somebody and got a new mistress or this and that, and we're all over it and have all type of input. It's just what we're consuming. Seeing the current situation with the life below water brings up the topic of how we consume above water. It has nothing to do with us and how we're eating seafood, anything like that. It's the issue, the real underlying issues has nothing to do with that. The real underlying issue is just how we consume, period. Just how we consume overall. That's one of the biggest underlying issues in why our open waters, why our seas, our oceans, our lakes are being contaminated the way they are. Why sea life is just showing up suddenly dead. It's just something different out here. It's so many things happening at once that for a person who is paying attention to their surroundings, they're probably got their hands are just full. It's so much happening, you can't even keep up with everything. It's important that we stay aware of our surroundings, aware of how we are consuming, how we are doing things, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves. If we're destructive to ourselves with the way that we consume, we won't care about anything else and what happens to it. and it's obvious. It shows it shows just in everyday life. We don't care. Life below water, that we're expecting to see sustainable goals develop by 2030, or already set in place and running on all cylinders by 2030. And just with the way everything has been moving so fast, so expedient, so accelerant, I wouldn't put it past it. There's still people out here that's taking things that's happening in life for face value, for on surface value, and you cannot do that anymore. We're so past that. Nothing is what it seems. There's so much going on. From just the way the country is treating its own citizens, its black citizens, the division that's happening between whites and blacks in this country, once again, at the height of how it's happening. Because it's always been here. It's never went anywhere. But for some reason, it just seemed like it seemed like it was just at a boiling point. All of a sudden, with the way that we treat each other in the comment sections on certain platforms. You go to Twitter, Reddit, God, if you go to like a Reddit or a World Star comment section, it is the most toxic acid, just poisonous toxin in those comment sections, bro. People are getting to this primal animal like behavior because they're able to do it from the comfort of their own home, behind the screen where no one can really see them. And the way we treat people and the way we treat ourselves, it's going to reflect on everything around us. And that's including birds in the sky and fish below the sea, life below sea. So be looking out for these sustainable development goals. Like, how are you guys planning on developing that goal sustainably? What is your plan? They got a plan. It's just we so busy consuming at the rate that we consume. The plan could be so detrimental to us, our livelihood, our freedoms, but we won't even care. Just as long as we can still consume the way we want to consume, we wouldn't even care. And we gotta do better. We gotta make changes before somebody else make us make those changes for us. And we don't want that. But it's coming. We'll be back next week and we'll talk about some more things. To those watching on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate you dropping by and checking out the content. Appreciate you coming in and just hanging out with us for a little while. If you listen to the whole episode, God bless you. For those of you who are listening on Anchor, thank you guys so much. We appreciate your listenership. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. And share this out with some of your friends. Yeah, let's get some more ears and people listening on the content. We're building some good content here. We got some good momentum, so let's capitalize on it and stay on top of it. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.